Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Ryan, and if this is your first time watching one of my videos, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe. You just should. Go ahead and do it. But anyway, usually I would be doing an episode of Wife Life. And on Wife Life, I talk about things that I've learned within my first couple of years of marriage. And I talk about things that God has shown me. And sometimes I just rant. But today, I decided that I was going to kind of switch things up or shift gears. I don't think that's what it sounds like. No, it's not. But anyway, I'm going to change things up and talk to my single friends about what to look for if you're trying to decide, is this my husband? And the reason why I'm doing this video is because one of my friends on Instagram sent me a link to another YouTuber who did a video about 9 signs to look for in your future husband. And she sent it to me because she was asking me, like, you know, what do you think? I'm trying to be more intentional about dating and looking for this right guy. And so she was asking me, like, do you have anything that you would add? Do you agree, disagree? You know, blah, blah, blah. And so the reason why I'm doing this video is because when I watched it and I listened to her 9 things, I thought, okay, yeah, those are all great. And they're probably the things that I would have said before I got married. But now that I'm married, it felt like the things that she was listing, the 9 things, were great for deciding if you should continue dating this guy or this girl. They weren't necessarily what I would look for, or the 2 questions, because I'm only going to say 2. But they weren't necessarily the things that I would look for if I was deciding, is this the person that I should marry? There's so many of these questions that are on these lists that you should address before you even get seriously into a relationship, because we kind of trip ourselves up when we're like, oh, you know, maybe he'll change his mind later, or maybe I can help him grow in this area. Nah, girl, just keep it moving. Sorry, I went on a rant on that. But anyway, so I'm going to give you guys 2 things that you should look for in determining, is this my husband? Now, before I get started, I think I need to say that this is coming from a Christian woman's perspective. I wanted a Christian husband because I wanted our marriage to be rooted in Christ. So they're going to be biased to my faith. Are you guys ready? 2 things that will determine, is he my husband? Number 1, does he chase after God? Now, I'm not talking about, like, does he love God? It goes a little bit further than that. So you can't just answer that by saying, does he go to church? Yeah, he goes to church. Okay. Do you see him lead? Yeah, I see him lead. But do you see him physically chasing, not physically, you know what I mean? Like, physically in the spiritual sense, chasing after God? Do you see him falling on his face before God in prayer? Do you see him devoting time in his week to studying and to spending time with God? And the reason why I can say that now is there have been situations and conflicts that have come up in my marriage within just the first 2 years that I can honestly say, if I didn't on a daily basis see my husband chase after God, I would have given up on him. And maybe not given up on him to the sense of, like, just leaving, like, pack my stuff and be like, I knew you weren't right. But just being like, you know, he just ain't got it. So it makes it easier for me to follow his leadership, even when he's leading me in a direction that I don't get, I wouldn't have picked. Because I know that he's chasing after God, I know that God is still dealing with him. So it gives me more patience. Do you know what I mean? Because one of the hardest parts in being close to somebody and being connected with them, like, it's like co-signing with somebody on a car that you're not gonna drive. Like, they're driving it and you're just hoping, like, oh gosh, I hope you paid the bill. Oh, but if they don't pay the bill, you the one getting called and you gotta suffer. Your credit score drops because somebody else didn't pay the bill. Am I preaching to anybody right now? Not only does it help you in following this guy, but it also helps you in forgiving this guy. So I said two, but like this is just the first point, right? You see, chasing after God. But it helps you to forgive him. There have been instances in my relationship where I found it difficult to forgive my husband and to work on restoration. And when I say difficult, everybody has their own level of what difficult is. But for me, they were struggles. And I can honestly say that if I didn't have a husband that was chasing after God, I wouldn't have the patience to forgive him time and time again. I wouldn't have that. So it can be the difference between you giving up on your marriage, and giving up maybe not in the sense of divorce, but people give up on their marriage without ever filing papers. If you have watched any of my previous videos, maybe, I think it was like my early, like maybe my second video, and I talked about being engaged to someone before I was engaged to my husband, and how that kind of worked out. I was dating somebody and I got engaged to a guy that I didn't, it obviously, like, we're not married now. It wasn't right. And I knew almost immediately after we got engaged that he wasn't the right guy. But I'm so grateful that I didn't marry him, and that I was brave enough or confident enough to break off the engagement, because that's stress in and of itself. And you also don't want to admit, like, should have done it to the wrong person. But it was so paramount, and I'm so glad that I did. He wasn't somebody that I saw chasing after God. He loved God. He was very spiritual, and he was willing to go to church. But he wasn't one that, if a problem came up, he didn't fall to his knees or consult the word or anything remotely like that. And I'll tell you guys an instance. We were leaving from premarital counseling. Yeah, we were deep in that thing. So we were leaving premarital counseling, and we get to this red light, and in front of us, it's just us, me and him, and then another car that's in front of us, an SUV, right, at this red light. We're in the middle of the lane. That's not necessarily for the story, but I'll just tell you guys, we were in the middle lane, and they were right in front of us, and it was like dusk. Is that what it's called when it's like not quite dark? Yeah. Okay, so you could see the silhouettes of two people in the front seat, okay? And so I'm looking straight ahead, and he's looking straight ahead, my fiance at the time. And we see the passenger swing, like punch. That's a bad punch. I'm sorry. Punch the driver, right? And my fiance, he loved drama. He was like, whoa, what? Did you see that? And I'm like, what is going on? What's happening? But I'm thinking to myself, no, that ain't happened. Like, they didn't get punched. That's not what just happened. No. But this person got punched a couple of times, right? This is all while the light is red. And then the person in the passenger seat gets out the car, and this is huge dude. And he gets out and he comes around the back of the car and he looks at us, and then he goes to the driver's side and he opens up the driver's side door and pulls out this woman. Right? What? He pulls out this woman and like pushes her against the side of the car. And she turns and she looks at us. And she looks mortified. I look mortified. And she yells out, help. Help. Now my fiance is in the driver's seat. Now, I thought he's about to spring into action. He's about to do something. I don't know what. Maybe he's about to call the police. But the light turned green. And y'all, guess what he did, y'all? Yo, this man drove around the SUV and left the scene. There's nobody else around. And this woman just asked for help. And he just drove away. And I was just dumbfounded. I had to pressure this man into calling 911. Okay, if that wasn't a wake-up call, yeah, I don't know what was. And here's the thing. Here's what God did. The guy that I'm with now, my husband, our first date, y'all, our first date, we're at a light and he sees these people with car trouble and he got out of the car, and I'm watching this man on our first date pushing these people's car to safety and seeing what they need and giving them water out of his back seat. That was the difference for me. Okay, so that's a crazy story, right? That's just one of the instances that proved to me that this was a person that might have loved God and liked God, but wasn't really chasing after him, because had he been in his word on a daily basis, had he been before God constantly, that kind of heart it's impossible, right? The second question in determining, is this my husband? The second and the last, in my opinion, is, am I a suitable helper for him? So I say suitable helper because in Genesis, when God looks at man and says that it is not good for man to be alone, he uses the word suitable, or we translate it to suitable. I will find him, or I will make him a suitable helper. I looked up the definition. You guys ready? Of equivalent quality, counterpart. The Hebrew would be translated as before him, which would mean suitable to his nature and his needs. Okay, so you think of Genesis, right? And you think of when God created woman, and we all know he took the rib out of the man. So he took a part of the man. He didn't just decide, I think that man shouldn't be lonely, so I'll give him man's best friend. God didn't create a dog. I mean, if he just wanted for man not to be bored and alone, if that was the purpose of having a wife, to not be alone, then he could have given him anybody, all right, or anything. But he decided, no, I need to fashion something or someone out of a part of you so that this person will be suitable for you based off of your needs and based off of your purpose, which is huge. Okay, get that? Based off of his purpose. So we are made women. Okay, I get excited. So women were created in such a beautiful way to be a counterpart, suitable with God keeping in mind the man's needs and his nature. So this is what I love, right? We all have our own stories. We all have our own testimonies, our own strengths, our own weaknesses, and they make us perfect for certain jobs. There are jobs that I could never do, okay? Not because I don't want to do them. There are some jobs that I would love to do. However, my background, my aptitude, my experiences don't put me in line for that. You know, people take those tests like, what were you made to do? What were you created to do? And God created us to have each individual, right, spiritual gifts that should be suitable for certain ministries. And if your first ministry when you get married is your home, then the question is, do your spiritual gifts line up with that? Okay, this probably seems simple to you, but what gets me so excited about being able to serve my husband is because his purpose and the vision that God has given him for himself and for his family, I can see myself in that purpose and in that vision because of the experiences and the skills and the gifts that God has given me. So before you marry this guy, find out from him, what do you believe that your purpose is? What do you think that God wants from you and from your family? And then you can better decide Am I right for that? Because have you guys ever seen like a guy with the right woman and the glow up that occurs? I mean, he couldn't dress before, but he got himself a wife, and now, you know, he was extra skinny, and now he actually looks like he's not about to fall over and die. You know, glory to God. That's a woman. That's the beauty of what women do. We create comfort for them and a home and confidence that they didn't know they had. We give them further ambition and drive and support. But the question is, are you in line with this guy? And that's okay if you're not. If you're not, then sometimes we tend to only look at whether or not this guy is right for us. And when we do that, we can tend to be unrealistic about it because we look at the perks that come with the guy. When we're deciding, is this guy right for me? We look at all the benefits that come along with this guy. Just like we do with jobs or cars. Like, is this the right car for me? If you put a Ferrari in front of me and say, Ryan, is this the right car for you? Yeah, hello. It drives fast, it looks sleek. It's beautiful, and oh, it's a Ferrari. Yeah, it's for me. But I'm so glad that they're gonna run a credit check because they're gonna keep me from signing up for something that is not, it's not in my, I can't afford it, it's gonna get repoed, you know? I can rent it. So we be doing the same thing with relationships. And it's not necessarily the guy is like a Ferrari and we're, you know, we have bad credit, but that just simply, it just doesn't fit. I mean, sometimes I've been guilty of applying for jobs just because of the salary. Like, Ryan, this ain't the job for you. You wouldn't even like this job, but the salary looks great. And you know what? For that salary, I can pretend to like this job for long enough to pay off some bills. I'm not ashamed. Anyway, let me get back to paper. Okay. So yeah, I get excited about that idea of that because when my husband is in ministry or working within his gifts, and I'm able to support him and we're able to work together, it's a beautiful thing. And it reinforces our connection and our marriage. You know, they tell you, like, you want to increase your bond and help your marriage, get busy finding a hobby that you love to do together. And ministry has taken up so much of our life that it's just great to have somebody that was equipped to be your counterpart. When I was engaged to the wrong person, I knew it because I finally asked myself, am I his wife? Based off of everything I know about him, based off of his dreams and his hopes. Can I be a helper suitable for him? I couldn't, but I know that somebody else definitely can. All right, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. This video was specifically for my single friends, but if I have any married ones that have been watching and you have any other advice, definitely comment below. Let me know. Do you agree? Would you add something? You disagree? Be like, nah, Ryan, that ain't right. Stop leading these sheep astray. Let me know, you know? But otherwise, if you think this video was helpful, feel free to share it with any friends that are seriously dating or engaged. Yeah, because you could save a life. Amen? Amen. Bye, guys.